Hey, today I'm going to talk about 3 Francois Truffaut films, and the names of those 3 movies are The Bride Wore Black, The Last Metro, and Mississippi Mermaid. Well, first up is The Bride Wore Black. This is a 1968 film starring Jean Monroe, one of my favorite French actors, which continues with this film because she did an amazing job of carrying this film. This is a mystery thriller, so I want to try to be vague about the plot because it is a mystery and it's fun. And honestly, I was spoiled by something by reading the IMDb description, and I'm really annoyed because that reveal didn't happen until 40 minutes in, and it's like, F you, IMDb. Okay, so the basic premise is, how do I even describe the premise? It's about a woman on a mission. It's as clear as I'm going to be with it. One of the descriptions said it's a very Hitchcockian film, which he was definitely inspired by Hitchcock in all of the best ways. It's so fast-paced, and the mystery is really good and really satisfying. They give you little bits and pieces as it goes on, and you can kind of figure out some stuff, but it's like, you know, your mind's still going wild with possibilities. And then once they finally do tell you the answer, it's satisfying, but then there's still more to it from there. It's a very, very satisfying movie. There's definitely a different genre that this movie fits into that I don't want to say because it spoils some of the mystery. I will say though, this was probably an inspiration for at least a couple of Quentin Tarantino's films, just to kind of give you a certain vibe check. So I would wholeheartedly recommend this movie. In particular, if you are a Quentin Tarantino fan, I think you would enjoy this. Obviously, this is nowhere near as gory as any of his stuff, nowhere near as much as swearing, but it definitely, if you like his kind of stories, you're gonna like this story. And Jean does a great job. I love her a lot. Yeah, just a good fun time. Next up is The Last Metro. This is a 1980 film starring Catherine Deneuve and Gerard Depardieu. My 7th one of his, 2nd one of hers. And the basic premise is, in Nazi-occupied France, a theater that was previously run by a Jewish man, but now he has escaped Nazi clutches, is run by his non-Jewish wife, and they're trying to put on a play. But you know, Nazis be Nazis. And it's pretty good. It's good performances. It's an interesting story. It's interesting to see France reflect on its Nazi occupation. I wasn't super into Gerard's character just because he plays like a creep who just won't take no for an answer. But I think we are supposed to see him as a creep because he's just he's a complex character. He has layers. Catherine does a good job as always. I liked the other lead, Jean Portier. Yeah, it's just a good story told well. I just didn't super duper connect to it, so I didn't end up putting it in the really liked category, but it's a quite liked. It's pretty good. So yeah, I'd recommend it if you're intrigued. Go for it. It's worth a watch. And lastly is Mississippi Mermaid. This is a 1969 film, again starring Catherine Deneuve. It does not take place in Mississippi. It takes place in a colony of France off the coast of Africa. And the basic premise is a lonely plantation owner who puts an ad in the personals and then falls in love with a woman he meets in the personal ads and plans to marry her the day he meets her in person. And things don't go so well. Now, I'll kind of just break this movie up into sections. So like the first section, I was like, are we building towards this twist? Like it kind of feels like we really are, and I really want it to be because that'd be interesting. And the turn into the second act, it's the twist I thought it was. And even though I saw it coming, it was really satisfying. And I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Let's see where this movie goes from here. So it was like potential to be really liked in the first section, and then definitely in the really liked category from the beginning of the second act to about the halfway point. And then I was like, ooh, are we building to this twist next? Or like, which twist are we going with next? And the answer is there weren't any more twists. It was pretty much just what you see is what you get. And I'm like, oh, dang it, because this is interesting. And now it's kind of not as interesting because it's just about a lonely man who's desperately in love with this woman and how that's not good for him. And that's still interesting, but it just, I don't know, I wanted more twists and turns. There are a little bit more twists and turns at the very end, which should redeem it a bit, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't scratching the itch. You set me up for one thing and you gave it to me a little bit, but then you didn't quite do what I wanted you to do, and that was, it's still a good story though, good interesting story with solid performances. I kind of went into this with a little bit of trepidation because like the main character's a plantation owner, which I'm just gonna make a wild accusation in that there's never legitimately been a good person who's a plantation owner. And thankfully not good things happen to this guy, but yeah, it's interesting. I'd still recommend it. I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. It's not like a super high recommendation, but like if you're intrigued, yeah, sure, it's not bad. It is fun, so yeah, it's good. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got The Bride Wore Black, sitting at number 48 in the really like section. And then after that is, I messed up, it's Mississippi Mermaid, sitting at number 83 in the quite like section. Actually, that does make sense. And then bringing up the rear is The Last Metro, sitting at number 95, also in the quite like section. And this is out of a total of 213 old movies so far this year.